Carrie Tully, the Administrative and Development Director for the Northcoast Environmental Center. I'm joined here today by my friends and colleagues, both from Northcoast Environmental Center and Zero Waste Humboldt. And before I introduce our panel of incredible plastic and waste reduction activists, I just want to run through a couple housekeeping items. So hopefully our guests have been able to watch the Story of Plastic documentary. The link will expire tonight, so if you haven't watched it all the way through, make sure that you are able to get through it before the link expires. I think it's midnight. So our agenda today will be starting with an introduction to Zero Waste by its co-founder and NEC's Vice President Maggie Gaynor, followed by an introduction to the NEC's coastal programs given by our own Casey Cruikshank. And then we'll offer a poll to learn a little bit about you and kind of will help to direct the discussion post the poll. And then we'll offer a plastics pollution overview, some action items, and then we'll give you 10 minutes to actually take action during the webinar, which is the most exciting parts. And then we'll end with a quick Q&A to be sure. So if you have questions, put them in the Q&A feature that's at the bottom of the webinar, as opposed to the chat. It just helps us track them a little bit better. And then at the end, we will provide you with a link to the feedback form so that we can learn how we did and how we can improve, but also it's really important information for us to gather all of that back. And so we will show you that form at the end and we'll give you the link. And that's how you get entered to win the wonderful prize by one of our panelists tonight who's on the call, Jennifer. So I will start with introductions. Starting with Maggie Gaynor. Maggie has always danced in the middle between community-based economic development and environmental activism. Her firm, Gaynor and Associates, specialized in integrating recyclable material into manufacturing. Since 1977, she has been an early innovator in the recycling industry in increasing public adoption of zero waste. She was Arcata Community Recycling Center's executive director, Sacramento County's first recycling coordinator, president of the California Resource Recovery Association, and on the National Recycling Coalition Board. She's co-founded Zero Waste Humboldt Center for Environmental Economic Development, directed HSU's Office for Economic Community Development, and served on California Governor's Economic Strategy Panel. So she's very qualified to be here and talk to you about these topics today. Thank you for being here, Maggie. Next, we have Denise Newman, who is a Zero Waste Humboldt board member, and she engages in development of educational outreach, materials, and workshops. She's also on the Redwood Community Action Agency projects coordinator, which she implements watershed-wide environmental education programs and interpretive trail signage design. And she is committed to the zero waste lifestyle with some of the greatest challenges right there under her roof. And Denise may be found at Wilderness Lakes with her bamboo utensils. Thank you for being here, Denise. Next, we have Jennifer Sherman-Rue, who is a lifelong maker with a tenacious energy and a heart for community. She has been calling Humboldt home since 1994 and has a true passion for helping both businesses and the environment thrive. As an HSU art graduate and former art teacher, education and creativity has been a constant in her life. A major theme in her artwork is finding ways to reawaken the conversation of how to transform waste into a valuable resource. From large mosaic murals to plastic wearable art, Jennifer's creations challenge and inspire the ways we think about recycled material. When not tinkering with her wearable art making process or partnering with eco-friendly nonprofits, you can find her enjoying nature, whether on a kayaking adventure with her husband Casey or biking with her girlfriends on a beautiful coastal trails. And Jennifer has generously donated the prize for the raffle, and we will show you pictures and stuff like that at the end. And we want to remind you that any online sales of the turtle necklace generate a 10% donation to Zero Waste Humboldt. Next, we have Chelsea Pulliam, who's been with the NEC for 1.5 years and is our administrative assistant, outreach coordinator, and eco-news graphics designer. She's passionate about environmental communication, solutions journalism, and designing eco-news covers that people can't resist picking up. We couldn't do any of this without Chelsea. Thank you for being here and thank you for all the help. And we have Casey Cruikshank, a lifelong environmental enthusiast. Her passion for marine environments started during her time spent in the San Juan Islands throughout her childhood. She first noticed plastics as an issue when she was sailing in the Northern Territory of Australia, visiting very remote beaches that were covered in plastic from other countries. This jump-started her passion for spreading the word about single-use plastics and marine debris removal. She's been working at the NEC for 3 years now and is very passionate about what she does. So thank you everybody for being here. I'm super excited. And Maggie, take it away.
All right. Well, thanks, folks. I see we have more participants joining us now. That's great. Zero Waste Humboldt. Well, first, let me stop for a moment and just thank the NEC staff, Chelsea, all of you guys for organizing this and hustling to bring it together. And to anybody who watched the movie and took the time to participate, really to learn the real scoop about plastics. Zero Waste Humboldt got started, introduced the zero waste movement and sustainable materials management to Humboldt in 2011, when the new system of mixed recycling collection was adopted by all of our local governments. We knew then that it would become much more difficult to achieve the highest and best use for each recyclable material, especially plastics. So we've grown, and Zero Waste Humboldt provides three main related services: advocacy and policy development with local government, public education that's aimed on behavior change and adopting new habits, and technical assistance and training for businesses, schools, large events, and local government agencies. Much of our work is behind the scenes, and you wouldn't even know we were involved. So just to give you a few examples of recent work, Zero Waste Humboldt is probably best known for helping our largest outdoor events to dramatically reduce the waste they generate. North Country Fair being the first and a really inspiring model for many others. Our network of 10 water bottle refill stations that we awarded to local governments and 2 local high schools has reduced single-use plastic water bottles in our waste stream by over 50,000. Each one of them has a counter, and so we monitor that progress. We have just completed a Zero Waste Zebras packet of activities. Denise was very involved in that. Activities for kids. And we hope this will be useful for parents and kids at home, for future youth groups like Scouts that will get together after school programs and summer programs. Our goal for that is for it to be fun, and these different projects to instill waste prevention values. These are not recycling collection projects. Right now, we're updating and adapting our business zero waste training program to be more convenient webinars, more affordable and more relevant to our local and small businesses. And this will be ready very soon to launch as part of a zero waste business certification program. Just a couple of dates to tell you about that are coming up. October 10th will be our annual Zero Heroes event, and where we honor and showcase individuals who are either early adopters or just really doing great work and are inspiring to the rest of us. And then lastly, 2013, we established November 15th as our countywide Zero Waste Day. And we work with many community partners, including the NEC, the co-op, local governments, to celebrate progress and recruit more Humboldt businesses, shoppers to adopt waste reduction habits. To get involved or to support Zero Waste Humboldt's work, just email us at zerowastehumboldt@gmail.com. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. I'm Casey Cruikshank, and I'm proud to be the Coastal Programs Coordinator at the Northcoast Environmental Center. I'm going to share my screen with you all so I can show some lovely photos. So the NEC works with other organizations within the community to band together to conserve and protect our terrestrial, aquatic, and marine ecosystems. We spread awareness and education through our Eco News publication. This is our August edition here. That's beautiful. I'm so excited about it. To address local waste in Humboldt County, we facilitate a variety of zero waste efforts and coastal cleanup programs. So some of our coastal programs include the Adopt a Beach and Adopt a Block program, which is a coordinated effort of a variety of dedicated volunteers who remove debris in their selected location and report the debris back to us. Trashathon is a new event that was the brainchild of my lovely coworker, Chelsea. It was a smashing success. We had 11 teams that removed almost 14,000 pieces of trash and fundraised $4,250 for the NEC. So that was a big COVID win. Last but not least, we have our Coastal Cleanup Day. And usually every year that takes place on one day in September, but this year we are adapting and we will be facilitating every Saturday in September, encouraging all of our volunteers to participate. This is a picture of one of our 40 sites that we had last year. We had a really good turnout. It was pretty fun. So after watching this film, I'm sure it won't surprise you to find out that corporate sponsorships often bleed into cleanup events. You can read more about Crystal Geyser's Coastal Cleanup Day sponsorship in this month's Eco News, written by Caroline, and here's that article right there. Last year, we said no to corporate sponsorships and created an entirely zero waste event. We got our event t-shirts donated by local thrift stores, so they were all thrifted. A local artist designed our logo, and all business sponsorships were completely local. Pearson's donated 300 pairs of reusable gloves, and CMPS collected their used soil bags for us to collect the waste. As the story of plastic stated, cleanups are not the solution. To me, they're a way to give the community a firsthand experience to better understand how plastics are affecting our ocean. Participating in cleanups feels good, and it reduces the burden that waste creates on our environment. Aside from education, the most important element to our cleanups is data collection. Historically, the NEC has used the Ocean Conservancy to collect data on Coastal Cleanup Day, and we've gathered over 9 years worth of data on that database. This is just an example of that here. In the last year, we've moved to collecting data year-round through all of our coastal programs, and we made the switch to a new and exciting data collection strategy, which is the NOAA Marine Debris Tracker app, and this is an example of what that cleanup looks like here. The importance behind this new data collection is that we're able to create our own locally specific debris list, and through the use of GPS, we're able to better analyze volunteer data and create maps to better understand and track local waste patterns. This means that we're tracking locally specific debris, and each data set brings us closer to creating solutions based on the story that the data tells us. I've been working with a local data analyst to better understand what we're finding, and I'm very excited about the future of coastal programs at the NEC. In conclusion, while cleanups are not the final solution, I believe that they're a very important piece to the puzzle. While the film that we just watched was a little somber, I hope that this webinar provides you with hope and some actionable steps to carry with you moving forward. I spend a lot of my spare time removing debris from our streets and beaches, and it has become very clear to me that we must take care of ourselves and remain positive in order to have the biggest impact when doing this kind of work. Education alone can feel overwhelming, but action creates space for progress and a feeling of accomplishment. Working together as a community to collect data, remove debris, and hold corporations responsible is a fantastic way to remain hopeful and stay engaged. If you're interested in participating in this year's Coastal Cleanup Day, you can visit our website. Thank you for listening about coastal programs at the NEC, and if you have any follow-up questions after the webinar, you can email me at casey@yournec.org.
Next, oh, go ahead, Carrie.
Thanks, I was looking for my mute button. So we're gonna put a poll up for you guys to just quickly fill out. It's 4 questions. If you could just respond, and then we'll show you guys the results just so we can get an idea of kind of where we're at and where we can kind of direct the conversation from this point going forward. And panelists, I'm gonna allow you to vote too. Okay.
Carrie, I don't think we can interact with this polling.
Let's see, guests, can you type in the chat and tell me if you're having the same problem? It's interesting because it worked before, so I'm wondering why it didn't work this time.
I have the polling on my screen.
So it's working. Okay, so it's
But can
working
you
for
click
the
on it? Because it's just showing the results right now, which is there are.
Yeah, I can click on it.
Oh, okay, good. Well, somebody can.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I can't
mine's
click on
not
it.
clickable.
Okay.
Mine is also
Yeah,
not.
mine isn't
clickable.
either. Oh,
I wonder what that means. It's always something I'm learning from Zoom. It's like a constant learn as you go situation.
Interesting. One of our participants said they can click but not submit.
Huh. I think as you click, it's submitting. Because I have 2 responses, 3 responses. So we have 3 responses so far. Sounds like each person is having a different experience, which is very interesting. That was unexpected for sure. Okay, well, 3 people have voted so far. So the first question being, after seeing this film, do you have a better understanding of the popular misconceptions about plastic and recycling? People say yes. So that's really good. Obviously, there's a lot of information in the webinar or in the documentary. So 2, everybody's voting all of the above. So what are the built-in problems for plastics and recycling? It looks like everybody has chosen all of the above. That's great. Can improved recycling systems solve the environmental damage caused? Here we go. We're going to share the results. Can improved recycling systems solve the environmental damage caused by plastics manufacturing and disposal? Most people said yes, or said no, and we do have 1 yes. What are the positive alternatives to single-use plastics? All of the above. So it looks like you guys got a lot from the webinar. So it's kind of up to you guys where you kind of want to chat, whether it's improved recycling systems or whatever you think. I'll leave it up to you.
All right. So we were going to have Maggie from Zero Waste Humboldt now give a bit of an overview on plastic pollution and maybe address some of these questions. I think that discrepancy between whether recycling can save us or not might be a good place to start.
Chelsea, I'm going to count on you to help me with my time because
Okay, no problem.
I could talk till the cows come home.
Okay.
I am old enough to remember when all the single-use plastics first began. And some of us have discussed in meetings, zero waste experts around the country, that one of the reasons why over the past 40 years, nobody really cried, you know, the emperor's naked, you know, this recycling plastic stuff is not working and it's not gonna, is because the emperor kind of did this very slow striptease. And we were all sort of mesmerized by it, and we were taken in and we believed him. And so I remember looking at old websites, say maybe between 5 and 10 years ago, and they were called disposables. They're not called disposables anymore, but the industries that manufacture all the different kinds of single-use doodads that many of us believe we can't live without, they were called disposables. I remember solo cups, you know, they were called solo cups because they were only used once and then you get to throw them away, like they just disappear. So it really started off with a lot of behind the scenes, you know, the general public, like the crying Indian, you know, the television ads that were paid for by the Ad Council and were Keep America Beautiful, which not everybody knows still that it is not an environmental organization. It is sponsored and paid for by the industries that make the single-use stuff. The motto was, people cause pollution and people can fix it. Never a word about the actual manufacturers in the first place. So from the get-go, with manufacturing has not been hardly considered at all, even to this day. It's sort of been a diversion. Recycling has been used as a diversion. Look, you know, over there, recycling, wonderful opportunities. Just last winter, the largest PepsiCo, Coke, you know, the largest companies of beverage containers and some of the other single-use plastics created a nonprofit and put about $1 million into it and had a big press conference in Washington, D.C. about how they were going to help the American public with this $1 million to learn how to do a better job of recycling. And so locally, in our own region and many regions of the country, that those misunderstandings that have been perpetuated have continued, gotten worse, and filtered down. So I mean, even just to the point of in 2013, it'd gone on for quite a while. Finally, the state attorneys general of 3 states said, you can't do this anymore. You've stolen the 3 chasing arrows and put your plastic resin number in the middle. It's absolutely no indication of whether or not that particular thing is recyclable. In fact, it might be recyclable in Tallahassee, Florida. It's not recyclable in Humboldt County. And so lots of confusion ensued. So I often, with local groups, start off by saying, okay, for starters, you're not stupid. And secondarily, it's not an accident. It is confusing, all the different types of plastics. And I just remember all the years of believing and working in the recycling movement turned industry that it seemed we'd have like a success, like, yay, a new manufacturer is going to take this type of plastic and make it into a new product, paneling or plastic lumber, whatever. And but no sooner would we have that success, we could barely celebrate it, and then there'd be some new weird products and mixed resins, and you know, and just the misuse of terms like bioplastics and you know, what is and what isn't compostable, and it gives people the wrong, you know, our general public and consumers and shoppers, that this particular plastic is gonna be like composting in your backyard. It's gonna turn into a rich soil amendment. Well, at its very best, it will break down into smaller bitty component parts into our soil. And we now know that's impacting human health. So I just, one of the things about this particular film, this documentary, is they tried to reveal that we need to, you know, the analogy that's used by environmentalists now more and more often is that, you know, if your tub is overflowing, you don't just work harder and harder and harder at mopping. You turn the faucet off up front, upstream at the point of manufacturing. And there's all kinds of reasons why they would prefer to continue to just keep cranking out these single-use plastics. One more connection that I could make is we have known really for, there's a lot of public health studies that are showing over the past several years that people of color in this country don't receive the health care of the same quality as white people. And it isn't even related particularly to your income level, but I I just noticed related to the pandemic, you know, the numbers are staggering, the statistics and the comparisons. And a lot of Hispanics and brown-skinned people in particular, some of the highest rates of infection and then mortality because of the virus. So many of them live along in areas, regions, in particular, that border of Texas, where all these huge bigs, I mean, I think you saw pictures of this, you know, in the documentary, belting out horrible stuff in the air, the petrochemical industry. And that's where a lot of brown-skinned folks live. So there's so many logical connections, so many dots that have not been connected for the general public. For me, over the years, that has been so difficult and disconcerting is just about, I'm assured that almost every party I go to enjoy with my friends, somebody or buddies are going to come up to me and say, turn whatever they have in their hand upside down and say, this says number, blah, 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 blah. It's recyclable, right, right. And I have to, if your idea of recycling, you know, like authentic recycling is for it to be shipped, you know, several times in California or West Coast, and then overseas to Malaysia or Vietnam or other places where, you know, really rural and poverty-stricken villages and their children do the sorting for us, then I guess I can say to you that it's recyclable. That's not what was ever intended for recycling plastics. When they can't move, when they can't sort fast enough, then they burn down the big piles, and that becomes a horrible air quality problem. So when we do little workshops with Zero Waste Humboldt, you know, we used to have a list of environmental reasons, global warming, you know, to reduce waste and work on waste prevention strategies and materials reuse first and then recycling. And now we've added human rights violations, basically. It's incredible, you know, and that the average shopper and the average person doesn't know. So I think that Chelsea's going to talk more later about some of the things we can do. There are three main levels of activism. One is you and me, our daily lives, talking to our friends and neighbors and shopping, and then our conversations as consumer activists. This is what we're really encouraging, is consumer activism with the store manager, with the, you know, we just have to keep pressing. If they only hear it from one person a week, nah. But if they hear it from 10 people a week, they will begin to change. They want to please their customers. So that's important. And then local ordinances and state legislation. We've had a head of steam. In particular, California, it makes the petrochemical industry very nervous, because as California goes, as a role model with many of these kinds of things, the rest of the state gradually learns and comes along, or the rest of the country. So, it's legislation, it's local consumer activism, and then thirdly, how am I doing, Chelsea? Okay, and then it's working with our own private sector, our local manufacturers, our local stores, our local businesses. My experience is, if you keep at it and you're positive and you have good examples where it's working in other regions, and you know that customers want it this way, change happens. So that's my little wrap up.
Thanks, Maggie. Thank you so much for your expertise and background, and that you've just been doing this work for so many years, and you can really paint that picture. So thanks. So I want to segue a bit more into solutions, and Maggie, also thank you for getting into that. That is a bit how I broke it down, sort of from the personal level outward, and we're gonna walk through those steps. But for those of you who saw the film, which I hope all of you here did, I'm sure by the end of it you felt pretty overwhelmed. I know I did, just seeing this giant issue, this giant global issue that feels overwhelming. But I think it's really important to remember that this issue isn't insurmountable. There are genuine solutions that people are working on to address this issue across the globe. As we speak, there are campaigns, local ordinances, bills, and international agreements and more being proposed and implemented on the local, statewide, national, and international levels. And there are significant actions that we can all take right now to aid in the fight to end plastic pollution. I'm going to quickly run down a list of 6 actions that you all can take, and then I'm going to give you 10 minutes during this webinar to pick one of the action steps to do. I'll add the links in the Zoom chat for each action that I talk about. So I'm going to throw all the links in. It might look like a big list at first, but then I'm going to walk you all through it. So just a second so I can provide you with those in the chat. Oops, let's see, did that work? Okay. So there are your links, and now I'm going to share my screen. Share. Okay, so the first thing I want to share with you, let's make this bigger, is Plastic Free July. So again, we're going to start sort of on the local, personal level, things that we can do in our own lives, and then we'll go bigger from there. But the first link in the chat is to Plastic Free July, and this is a great resource to learn more about reduce and repurpose ideas and methods. I'm sure a lot of you here are already pretty passionate about plastic pollution and already, you know, have your reusable water bottle, you use your reusable bags at the store when you're allowed to, and you've kind of got some of those things down. But this resource here, if you go to get involved, what you can do, it has a whole list of other ideas and things that maybe you hadn't thought of. You know, you can always take that plastic that single-use reduction to the next level, or that plastic reduction to the next level. So if you feel like you want some more education, that's one you can spend 10 minutes here. The next link in the chat is going to take you to our local Recology website and their curbside recycling guidelines. And it's true that recycling is certainly not going to save us, but it is really important that we start recycling things that are actually recyclable, and that we start only purchasing things that are recyclable or have a real waste, proper waste diversion. And so a lot of you saw in the film that the guidelines have changed. You know, we used to be shipping everything off to China or the countries that would take it, and that's no longer happening in the last couple of years. And so there's a big push from local recycling companies to be clean at the curbside and all of that. And so, you know, if you live in Arcata, feel free to go to this link and check out what does and doesn't, what isn't accepted. And if you don't live in the area, then I'm sure if you searched for your own local recycling guidelines, those would be made available to you. So you could, you know, find a guide like this, print it out, put it on your fridge, and that way you're always sure that the thing you're throwing away actually belongs there. The next, okay, so now we're gonna branch out away from our personal actions and more into direct action. Oops, oh, I'm missing a link up here, but I had it all planned out, you guys. Okay, so next one I want to talk about is some direct action. This is one of my favorite forms of activism, is because you can just get out there and you're like making a difference. You don't have to wait on anyone else. And that's Coastal Cleanup Day. And so we're really proud of this event. Casey told you all about it earlier, but you can visit the link, urnec.org, ccd.2020. I can't talk right now. It's in the chat. Come here, sign up. Learn about our citizen science, how to use the NOAA Marine Debris Tracker app, and be part of your local community's cleanup and reduction or waste reduction solution efforts. Okay, so now we're going to move into political actions that you can take. This right here is about SB 54, Senate Bill 54, Assembly Bill 1080. It's the California Circular Economy and Plastic Pollution Reduction Act. So this bill is really important right now. It's a California state bill, and it is on a deadline. August 31st is going to be voted on, or it needs to be voted on by August 31st in order for it to pass. Otherwise, it will be dead on the floor, and we really don't want that. So there's this huge push across California for people to contact their representatives. If you live locally, here, let's see, we'll put in our contact information for Northcoast Environmental Center, and it'll show you, you have Senator Michael McGuire and Assemblymember James Wood, and these are the folks that you need to contact and let them know that you support SB 54, AB 1080. The link that I sent you makes it super easy. You just put in your information and it'll show you who to contact, and it gives you a quick little blurb of what to say on the phone or leave a voicemail, or you can also email them. But encourage your representatives to vote yes, and it's very time sensitive that you do that basically now. Again, our deadline is August 31st for this to pass. We also have, it's sort of a contingency plan in some ways. It's a very similar bill. It's the California Recycling and Plastic Pollution Reduction Act, very similar name, but it's a ballot measure. And so normally, you know, you'd see people at your local grocery stores trying to collect ballot measure signatures. Obviously, that's not happening with COVID. So instead, what they're asking people to do is to visit this website. You can print out the petition at home. You can sign it, and you can have up to 8 people sign it. You know, so ask your housemates. You know, maybe safely pass it over to your neighbor, and then you can mail it in to the address here at the bottom and right here. And if we can get enough signatures, then this will show up on the 2022 California ballot measures, and then we can vote yes on that. And then this will have very similar regulations that SB 54 and AB 1080 has. The next one I want to talk about, so if you don't live in California, but you still really want to support these measures in a political way, then there is the Federal Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act. So this is a new act that just got introduced at the beginning of 2020. It currently has, I believe, 29 signatures in, or support from 29 representatives in the House, and I think maybe 7 in the Senate. But you can come here and sign this petition, but even more important than that is to contact your representative again and let them know that you support the Federal Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act. This act is really cool. It's extremely ambitious, but really amazing in that it basically addresses every issue you saw in the film, from extraction to disposal. It covers every facet of the plastic stream. And so all of these bills really need our support so that we can actually hold producers responsible and make a significant and serious dent in the plastic pollution crisis. Okay, so the last things I wanted to talk about are financial support. So that's the last action that you can take, and you can visit, oh, whoops. Am I still sharing my screen? No. Okay, it jumped. Okay, oh, I hit stop share, that's what happened. Okay. Donate, okay. So in the chat, there are links to donate to the NEC as well as to Zero Waste Humboldt. I seem to have lost the Zero Waste Humboldt link, but they should both be in the chat. I'll double check at the end. Support your local organizations who are putting a lot of time and energy into this issue. We are really passionate about this, and we, as Maggie mentioned earlier, Zero Waste Humboldt is putting on a lot of, or has a lot of really important programming, as does the NEC. And you can even just support us for attending this webinar. We're really thankful to Story of Plastic for being able to offer this film screening to you for free, but there was still some time and energy that went into putting this on. So if you feel like maybe you gained $5 worth of knowledge, you know, consider going to our website and donating $5. Or maybe you had $10 worth of inspiration, consider donating $10 to the NEC or Zero Waste Humboldt, or both. As it says here, we really appreciate your support. So yeah, so okay, hopefully that was quick enough. I'm going to throw on this countdown timer, and I want you all to go forth and pick one of those things. And if you have questions, throw them in the chat, and I'll be available, since I did kind of run through everything pretty quickly.
Chelsea, are we supposed to be able to read something?
Oh, it should just be a countdown timer that you can see.
Okay, just one. Okay,
Yeah, everything should be in the chat. So hopefully all the attendees have that information. I think I might have just sent it to the panelists. So I'm gonna kind of do this link dump again and see if, just to make sure everyone has everything. Okay. Oh, Jennifer Haynes, I'm not seeing anything. Sorry, okay. We'll give you an extra minute. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I accidentally only sent it to the panelists. Apologies, participants. You should have everything now.
In case anybody is trying to call Senator McGuire, I just tried and his mailbox is full. So I think you could probably just try to email him. So I'm going to get his email address and put it in the chat.
Okay. I hope you all had a chance to at least start one of your actions, and we'll have more time after this webinar to follow through. And you should be receiving a follow-up email as soon as this webinar is over through Eventbrite where you registered, and it will have all of the links included. So if there was something else that you were interested in pursuing, that will be available to you in your inbox very soon. So we have just a little bit of time left for a Q&A. It looks like we just had one. I'll let Carrie kind of direct that session now. But.
No worries. Yeah, we do have one question, and it was kind of answered, which is the part that we just did. It was kind of the action piece. So I hope that the anonymous attendee who asked that question feels like that question was answered. But I do encourage anybody who's in attendance right now to take a moment and use this time to ask these genius plastic reduction specialists, anything that's on your mind about this stuff, because they're here, we've got a couple minutes to spare. You might as well ask your silliest question. My dog had a question. Any questions from anyone? We have one more. Thank you, Kimberly. Her question is, can we work together to do a letter writing campaign to local stores that we would like to see reduce their plastic packaging, such as Co-op, Wildberries, Costco, etc.? Chelsea, I'm going to let you answer that.
Sure, yeah. So that is a great question, and the NEC is actually in the pretty early stages right now where we are putting together a pledge. Again, it's still in the works, but as soon as it's fully developed, we'll let everyone in the community know, as well as our member groups. But we're calling it the Reduce Single-Use Pledge, where we're gonna, we have a pledge written that basically the business will agree to reduce their single-use distribution by through an opt-in method. So basically, instead of providing single-use accessories such as cutlery, straws, napkins, condiments, all of those things, instead of providing them by default, they will only be provided by upon request of the customer. And so we're really excited about that. We're working hard to get that underway. And then as soon as all of the language is finished and we have all of these supporting resources, we're going to reach out to all of our local restaurants and stores and everybody who is a distributor of these disposable items, and hope that we get a lot of sign-ons, and we'll be promoting those businesses so you get to know which businesses are on board for these things, and you can feel more comfortable supporting those businesses. And hopefully with the support of our community, we can help it spread and help enforce the pledge as well. So that when you show up and that person signed the pledge, you can be like, well, you said you were only going to provide this by request, and I didn't request it. So, so we're really hoping that's successful, and you just kind of keep an eye out on our social media and our website, or if you're on our mailing list, I'm sure once that program is more underway and more developed, we'll let you know.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was a really exciting way to introduce the kind of next things that we're thinking about. Yeah. And then Kimberly has another question. What about expanding plastic bag ban, as some stores like Winco still offer plastic bags, and I noticed that they're handing them out in great numbers. So great question. And Maggie, would you like to take that one?
Well, am I on? Yeah, there's a popular misunderstanding that has been perpetrated again by our favorite petrochemical industry. As soon as the virus was announced by the federal government, they went to Congress and said, we want you to have CDC put out this language that plastic bags and plastic single-use products are safer and cleaner. And all the research since then has said that ain't so. There's a variety of surfaces. They've tested wood, metal, glass, ceramic, and plastic. And guess which one of all of them the virus lingers the longest is plastic. So a lot of our local stores and restaurants You know, I think they get their information sometimes from places that are sort of affiliated with the manufacturers of the single-use plastics, like the California Restaurant Association or whatever, instead of CDC, and are really very, very capable and reliable people we go to in our local public health department. Is that answering the question? City of Arcata is very different from the other cities. It has an ordinance that it is now in implementation phase, and it is for all the local restaurants and food providers. And so they're on a roll. I have found when I pick up a hot meal that no one has given me anything in plastic. And I always ask when I order my meal, please, I can't take anything in plastic, you know, again, a little consumer activism. So it's been in, it's not the best, like letting me use my own container, but brown paper bags and brown little cardboard boxes, and that's that. So to Kimberly, you know, you're spot on. These are the right questions to be asking. I'm so glad nobody sent in a question about, well, what can we do about recycling this kind of plastic? She's, you know, we just keep marching together and impressing upon the private sector and local governments that we don't want it this way anymore. I noticed that in a lot of grocery stores, they give you options. I've taken a lot of pictures of those and posted them on social media. On this row of the grocery store shelves, it'll just be grab your corn, grab your apples, grab your mushrooms, grab whatever. And then right above it is a layer where they're all individually plastic wrapped, or, you know, in different kinds of containers. So let your stores know, that's ridiculous. We don't need, you know, give it to us so we can just put it in our bag and go.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that answer, Maggie. And with that being said, I think that wraps up everything. The last thing we want to do is to link you guys to the feedback form. So Chelsea's going to put that right in there. And okay, cool. It looks like it went right into the chat and should be viewable by everybody there. And then if we want to do a quick wrap up talking about the prizes, then we can kind of end there.
Yeah. I'm going to share my screen again real quick for all of you. Let's see. Let's make that. Oops. And then let's see. Share. Yeah. So we have. I just linked this Story of Plastic feedback form in the chat. And again, you'll also probably receive an email with this link. But we would really just appreciate you to, you know, give us some of your information and let us know about your experience. But the exciting thing is that everybody who fills out this form will be entered to win into our raffle to win one of these pairs of earrings provided by Plastic. I'm sorry, what is the name? Plastic Upcycle.
Plastics uniquely recycled.
Uniquely recycled. Okay, I kept thinking upcycled. Okay, yes. Thank you to Jennifer again for these beautiful earrings. And so we'll have 5 winners. And since there aren't a lot of participants here, maybe you'll be a guaranteed winner, or at least you'll be a close winner. So fill this out and you'll get a chance to win one of these, and we'll mail it right to your doorstep. So we would just really love to hear about your experience. So, okay. And that's that.
Thank you so much, everybody who participated. Thank you so much to our panelists. I really look forward to all the stuff that we continue to do to work on these major issues together. And I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their evening.
Yeah, find this recording on social media and share it with all your friends who weren't able to make it tonight.
Yes, totally.
Okay.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone.